welcome to Section 3, an overview of the colleges in Colorado that currently offer inclusive higher education options. I'm your host, Shelby, the Education and Outreach Program Coordinator for IN. IN is a nonprofit that works with colleges to encourage them to open their doors to students with intellectual disabilities, and we raise awareness about these options in our state. This video is one of a 5-part series on college options for students with ID in Colorado. You can find links to the other videos in this series in the video description. In this video in particular, we'll provide some information on each of the colleges in Colorado currently supporting students with intellectual disabilities. It is important to note that all of the services we talk about are provided by the colleges themselves and their inclusive service offices, and does not provide direct service to students. We really believe it's most inclusive for colleges to be the ones to offer those services. With that said, each of the inclusive service offices at those colleges are creating access to college for students with intellectual disabilities and providing individualized supports on campus to foster success with those students. So let's start by hearing from a mom and a daughter about what college access meant for their family.
I'm going to college on UCCS.
When you got your letter from UCCS, how did you feel?
I cannot believe I got in. It's crazy. Because my mom was like in tears. Because I feel happy. I feel happy because I've been taking college since I'm in school one. Because my friends were taking college. I can see myself throughout their campus. It's perfect. It's perfect to think about it.
How are you feeling about Grace's acceptance to college?
Super excited. Very happy, proud of her. This has just opened up so many doors. And the idea that we don't have to go out of state is huge, huge. And it's not my experience, it's hers. I couldn't be more proud, but also terrified. I mean, we've been joined at the hip for so long. I don't know, one of the things they said that was very reassuring was how supportive the entire campus was. That it was staff support and peer support and just everybody, the food servers. Everybody is very eyes on.
What advice do you have for other parents as they navigate the college search?
First of all, I would start early. Totally start early, and I think you have to start as a family, that anything is possible, and then the conversation has to go to the school, and you need to make sure that that's in your IEP. And then I would also say get your kid to be an advocate and say what they want. Have that confidence to say, you know what, I do want to do this, and this is what I want to study, and make sure everybody knows it. And I wouldn't give up.
I hope that those short clips have started to get you thinking about the life-changing access to college that inclusive higher education can provide. At the end of this section, you will be able to identify colleges in Colorado that have inclusive service offices, answer common questions students and families may have about supports available in college, provide a general overview of the application process and typical costs, activities, and housing options associated with each college offering inclusive higher education, and utilize state and national resources as well as professional collaborations to help you support your students' college search. A quick note for our teachers out there, we are able to award a certificate of completion for professional development hours. To receive credit, you'll complete the Google form linked in the video description. As we talked about in Module 2, the first 3 schools to offer inclusive higher education in Colorado were created from a Senate bill in 2016. As a result, schools in our state offering these services support students in similar ways. Here are several key components that we learned about in the last module. As we go through this module, we'll talk about each of these in more depth. 1. Students do not need to meet the school's traditional entry criteria. Students who would like to access inclusive services enroll to the college directly through the Inclusive Higher Education Office instead of the General Admission Office. 2. Each inclusive service office has individual admission requirements, but none use IQ scores, SAT or ACT scores, high school grade point average, or prerequisite classes in making a determination. The most important admission requirement is a desire to attend college and work towards a career. 3. Students receiving inclusive services will take classes with peers without disabilities and earn credit for all classes taken. 4. Students earn a comprehensive higher education certificate with a concentration in their area of study, as opposed to a bachelor's degree. 5. If a school offering inclusive services has been designated as a comprehensive transition and post-secondary program, students can access federal financial aid. 6. Inclusive service offices utilize peer mentors to support students in various areas, such as academic classes or social activities. 7. Students are encouraged to get involved on campus and have access to the same clubs and activities as any other student. 8. The ultimate goal of inclusive higher education is that students leave college prepared to work in a field of interest to them. So who currently offers these options? Arapahoe Community College in Littleton, Colorado has an inclusive service office called Elevate. The University of Northern Colorado in Greeley, Colorado has an inclusive service office called Goal. The University of Colorado in Colorado Springs has an inclusive office called the Office of Inclusive Services. Contact information for each of these offices can be found in the supplemental resources for this module. While there are specialized supports that come with inclusive services, these are not specialized programs. Students choose their academic paths, career paths, social engagement, and housing options based on what the college offers to all students with and without disabilities. In the coming slides, we'll discuss college admission and cost, go over the 4 main pillars of college inclusion, which are academics, social, career, and independence, and answer some frequently asked questions. When we're done, you'll be able to share this information with students and families. In fact, our hope is that this section will be usable as a resource for prospective students or parents to check out. Similar to all college students, students with intellectual disabilities apply to the colleges of interest to them. They may apply to more than one college. They may look at options outside of Colorado. And once they're accepted, they're a fully matriculated student, just like any other student on campus. The following questions and answers get into what is unique about the Inclusive Higher Education application process. What is the entry criteria for inclusive higher education? Students apply directly to the Inclusive Service Office. Students need to have a documented intellectual or developmental disability. The application process generally involves a statement of why the student wants to go to college, an interview with the student, an interview with the student's parent or guardian, letters of recommendation, disability documentation, and past educational history. It must really be the desire of the student to go to college. The academic levels of students vary widely and can range from elementary level to high school level and even under or above those. Students do not need to meet the traditional entry criteria for their school of interest. Maybe they don't have the SAT or ACT score required, prerequisite classes from high school, GPA, and so on. That's totally okay. In fact, if a student could meet the entry criteria, this is probably not the path for them. Each school may have slightly different expectations in student selection. Further details about the entry criteria for each school, including requirements for disability documentation, can be found on each Inclusive Service Office's website. How long do students typically attend college when enrolled in inclusive services? At the universities, students attend for 4 years. This length was decided since this is a typical length of time to attend a university. As you'll hear throughout this section, a critical focus of inclusive higher education in Colorado is to provide a normative experience that models after the experience of students without disabilities on a college campus. At the community college, students attend for 3 years, since generally community college students usually attend for 2 or 3 years. What is the application timeline like for inclusive services? Inclusive service offices accept new students once a year to start in August. The applications and open houses generally start in mid to late fall and are generally due around December or January, with interviews taking place in the spring. Each school has their own specific timeline, which you can find on their Inclusive Service Office website. Who is the ideal student? I get asked this question a lot. There is no single answer to this. Students accessing inclusive services have all sorts of different intellectual disabilities, each have their own unique strengths and weaknesses, are at all different academic levels, and are really just unique individuals and students in and of themselves. The one unifying factor is they have a deep desire to be in college and pursue their academic and vocational goals. If you're in doubt, please reach out to the Inclusive Service Offices to talk to them more. They've worked with many families and may be able to help you navigate some of the concerns you have. Moving into academics, students accessing inclusive higher education have access to the full course catalog at the college they attend and can choose whatever field of study they would like, just like any other student on campus. Students with intellectual disabilities in Colorado have studied art design, brewing sciences, criminal justice, communications, early childhood education, dance, government, healthcare, photojournalism, sports management, and more. This is why we say these are not specialized programs and instead really are specialized supports that help students achieve their unique goals. Areas of study can be an important distinguishing factor when selecting a college. If your student has something in particular they want to study, I encourage you to look at the college websites for the list of areas of study they offer to help distinguish which one might be the best fit based on that area of study they're interested in. You could also reach out to their admission departments to learn more about those options. Before getting into some frequently asked questions, let's hear from one student about their academic pathway.
My name is Ryan and I am studying Human Services at UCCS. The best part about being in college is being in typical classes and working with peers. I wanted to go to college to learn more and make college-age friends. After college, I want to work in a hospital. My family thinks it is good that I am in college and they are proud of me. Sometimes homework can be hard. My favorite class has been college and career or oral communication in the workplace. The staff helped me create a complete schedule with school, work, and social life. I live in an apartment and it is the best.
Awesome.
For high school students who are thinking about going to college, my advice is, focus on yourself and go. I am Ryan and I'm excited to graduate.
Which classes do students take if they are receiving support from Inclusive Services? At each of the colleges, students are able to take the typical classes offered in the course catalog based on their area of study. Their specific classes they take each semester will be selected in collaboration with an advisor and align with their career goals. In addition, each college offers a specialized class specifically for students receiving inclusive services. These classes vary by campus, but generally focus on job preparedness, social relationships, budgeting and finance, and other skills. Students do earn credits for each class they take, just as other college students do. What degree do students get if they access inclusive services? Students earn a comprehensive higher education certificate from the college they attend. This certificate has a concentration in their area of interest. Similar to a degree, the certificate has a set number of credit hours and other requirements attached to it. Because inclusive services modify or change the course requirements, the credits earned do not apply towards an associate's or bachelor's degree. If students chose to continue their education after accessing inclusive services or switch to a degree-seeking path, they would need to complete the college's traditional application process and then access supports from a disability service or comprehensive service office. More information on those options can be found in Module 2. There is one exception. At Arapahoe Community College, if a student is accessing services from Elevate, their inclusive service office, and not using academic modifications, they may work towards an associate's degree and still receive support from the Elevate office. Tell me more about the Comprehensive Higher Education Certificate. What is it exactly? The certificate is awarded to students by their Institute of Higher Education and outlines certain requirements for students to graduate. Each school requires a slightly different number of credit hours. Students generally start by taking 3 classes per semester. In comparison, a traditional college student might be taking 4 to 6 classes per semester. 2 classes are selected from the course catalog, and 1 is a specialized course. Generally, their freshman year, students are taking more generalist study courses like Intro to College and Communications. They then move into courses specific to their concentration. For example, a student interested in politics would take more political science courses, while a student interested in education would take courses in education. It is important we are clear that these courses are the same courses that other college students are taking, not separate courses. The one aforementioned specialized course is specific to students with ID, and the only time students receiving inclusive services are required to be together. In that course, they work on a wide range of skills to be successful academically, socially, and vocationally. Each school can provide more specific information on what that looks like for their inclusive service office. Finally, as students adjust to college course loads, some students may choose to take more classes each semester. A common misconception is that if students are not taking 12 credit hours, or about 4 classes a semester, they are not able to access financial aid. This is not the case with these options. Students are able to take a reduced course load and still access financial aid. Beyond classes, a key piece of the certificate is career experience. This includes meetings with a career counselor, career interest assessments, job shadows and tours, on-campus job experiences, and internships and work experiences on and off campus. To view a sample comprehensive higher education certificate, you can see the additional resources for this module. I often get questions about the significance of the certificate. It is important to remember that we are discussing students who most likely would not be in college without the supports in place. If a student could pursue a bachelor's degree, we would encourage them to seek a different pathway. When thinking of this certificate, it may be helpful to think of a comparison between someone with ID with no certificate and someone with an intellectual disability who does have a post-secondary education certificate. Students who graduate and receive the certificate have a transcript outlining the college courses they have taken and a resume highlighting their employment history, which can be pretty impactful when applying for jobs. Do students receive grades? Yes, students receive credit and are graded on their work. Just like any other college student, however, they may encounter a class that is pass-fail, but in general, their classes are graded. How do professors know how to modify classes appropriately if they've never taught students with ID before? Each Inclusive Service Office has a staff person whose job is to support the academic modifications students need. This staff person works with instructors to learn about universally designing activities and curriculum, making modifications, and generally differentiating their instruction and assignments. Now we'll move into the second pillar of inclusion in college, career. As I've said in the past sections, there's a lot of commonalities between students with ID and any other college student. Career is no exception. Let's start by hearing from two ACC 2021 graduates talk about how their goals brought them to college.
My name is Vince. I'm at Arapahoe Community College and I'm studying for the certificate of Elevate. I did like choir and now I do like private voice instruction. I really wanted to go to college really bad, so we found out about this program and now I'm here at college studying what I want to do. My big goal is to pretty much be an actor and join more community theaters, but I also want to be an usher, like or at a theater. Much coming to college, well, it was a little nerve-wracking because I didn't know anybody and I really didn't know how the program works. But then I got my confidence built up and knew that this would be a great program. Yes, I have learned from all this. I've learned how to be independent and like do stuff with friends and stuff. The peer mentors have been a really big help, and in fact, they pretty much helped me when I was struggling with work, and they helped me with study hall a lot. In fact, I have two of them that became my really great best friends. ACC is a wonderful place, and all the teachers, all the students have been nice and welcomed me in and all that. So I'm graduating this year and I'm really happy about it. Actually, I'm really excited. I think I'm ready for a bit of a challenge. So I think I'm ready to go to the Denver Center Performing Arts and work at Buell Theater and try to usher there for a change. I would have to say that going to college is actually was a really fun thing. It's freedom. So yeah, I think college is a great thing.
My name's Dylan. I'm a senior at ACC, and I'm studying exercise science. To go to college, well, I decided that this is what I want to do, and I want to learn a little bit more about fitness. And most of the job that would be interesting to me would be being a group fitness instructor. The best part of college for me basically has been finding new challenges. I get more respect out of the Elevate program than versus when I went to this day program, and I have a more sense of freedom. I have a lot more to offer. It's pushed me outside of my comfort zone that I know that I can do more than I think I can do.
As shown by the stories of Vince and Dylan, students with ID truly have their choice of career goal when in college. And like many other college students, students with ID work while in college. Let's get into the frequently asked questions about work and college. Will I have a job on campus? What will that look like? What are the supports like? During the first year of college, students engage in career exploration. They engage in job tours and shadows, practice mock interviews, work on resume and cover letter development. The intent is to really define the individual's career interests. The second year, many students will have a job on campus with the intent to hone in on their work skills. This is key as many have never held a job before. Students with ID in Colorado have been employed at campus rec centers, libraries, dining halls, bookstores, as student course or department assistants. Amongst many other examples, one student worked at a pie cafe and another was a campus tour guide. The third and fourth year, things get more exciting as students have internships and work experiences off campus in their area of interest. Some examples might be a community arts center, hospital, therapeutic writing center, preschool classroom, radio station, local brewery, and many others. The support students receive in their place of employment will look different for each student based on their unique needs. Some receive more coaching around the interview, others receive more support around getting to and from work, others yet receive on-the-job coaching. Students are also encouraged to work during the summer while not taking classes. This gives them more opportunities to develop job skills and try out different types of positions as they investigate their true dream job. Let's move into talking about social life. College campuses are home to hundreds of clubs bringing people together around common interests. Students with ID have the same access to clubs and on-campus activities as any other student. They are encouraged to get involved on campus, but what they get involved with is really up to them. Some students prefer to attend organized activities like karaoke nights, parades, and dance parties. Others might become more formally involved with clubs and intramural sports teams on campus. Students with ID in Colorado have joined Club Rugby, Club Swimming, ran for and were elected to student government, started their own knitting club, and a lot more. Students can even join fraternities.
My name's Aaron. I go here at UNC North Colorado. College is a good thing to do, to make friends, to be independent, to be on my own. I joined a fraternity, and that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Living on campus is good.
I insisted that he was going to go to school. He wants to be just like everybody else. I really didn't have to worry about Aaron, and they have the support system if I needed it.
Live by yourself, be independent. If you need help, just ask. Be who you are, don't let anyone say who you're not.
One of the key ingredients to social support with inclusive higher education is the peer mentor. So for our first frequently asked question, what is a peer mentor? Each college recruits and trains peer mentors who support students with ID. Peer mentors have been called the backbone of inclusive higher ed. Peer mentors are other college students who support students. Some peer mentors are paid and some volunteer. Some study special education and some do not. All help students build connections around campus and provide guidance on what it's like to be a college student. They might work with students to develop skills for class group projects, be someone to confide in about a new relationship, answer questions about things like drinking or college parties, show students around dining halls, and much more. In addition to peer mentors, students form many natural supports from campus activities and clubs with which they are involved. When it comes to support, what is expected of parents? This question applies to all aspects of inclusive higher education. Parents are encouraged to shift from being an advocate to more of an advisor. When a student is growing up, parents generally have a large and very active role in making sure their student has the support they need. Once a student is in college, much of that advocacy shifts to the student. They are the one who must talk to a professor or employer about a challenge they are facing. They are the one making choices about their future goals. This does not mean the parent is completely cut out of the picture. In fact, parents can still be a really important source of support for any college student. The difference is the parent is now offering advice and encouraging the student to take on more of their own advocacy. The final pillar for inclusion in college is independence. For this section, we'll be highlighting housing options. Similar to other college students, students with ID have the option to move away to go to college. They also have the option to commute to campus if they choose. In order to ensure independent living supports are in place to foster success, there are a few more specifics in this section than those past. We'll actually be talking a bit about each school's particular housing options. In the following video, you will hear students at UNC who access inclusive services talk about their experience living on campus.
Living on campus, moving away from parents, I was kind of nervous because my parents weren't there to help and I was on my own. And now since I'm here, I can take care of myself and do some things I need to do.
The first night I was here, I felt very lousy because I've never lived anywhere else in my life. life. I missed home and I missed my family, and a lot of my roommates were there for me.
College is good for you just because you have more freedom and you can be able to be more independent.
It's really fun living on campus. It's fun to have your own room, a lot of activities you can go to on the weekends.
And living in Turner Hall is definitely a good spot. It's definitely next to the homes. That's the cafeteria.
Because you have the responsibilities, and I feel very comfortable of being responsible, and I really like that.
Now we'll cover some frequently asked questions about housing. If I choose to live on campus, what sort of support will I receive? Let's start with UCCS. UCCS students have the option to live in apartments with other college students without disabilities. Some students utilize Medicaid waivers to receive independent living supports like nursing assistance, meal planning and prepping, cleaning routines, and more. These services are coordinated in partnership with the Office of Inclusive Services, a local service provider, and the individual's community-centered board. If that sounds confusing, don't worry about it. Just know supports are there, and if interested in housing, I encourage you to inquire with the school for more specifics. In Module 5, we'll actually go into talking more about Medicaid waivers and how those interact with college. At UNC, students living on campus stay in the same residence hall the first and second year. The residence hall has a resident manager and assistant who are trained in working with individuals with disabilities. Similarly to at UCCS, in this residence hall, there are students without disabilities. There are also peer mentors who reside in the residence hall and can be a support for students with ID, especially in the evenings and on weekends. In their third and fourth years at UNC, some students may choose to live in other residence halls, apartments, or even off campus. Finally, as a community college, Arapahoe Community College does not offer any official housing options, but some students may still choose to live in the nearby area. Do parents need to live near campus? Certainly not. There are students from every corner of Colorado and even students from out of state who live at UNC and UCCS. Somewhat related to this, students are encouraged to be their own guardians. At UNC, a student is actually required to be their own guardian. That is not the case at ACC or UCCS. Does someone check in on students during free time or unstructured time or weekends? What happens outside of regular 9 to 5 hours? It is important to note that 24/7 residential support is not provided at either university. Students do need to have some level of independence. Peer mentors are one resource for students when inclusive service staff are not on campus. There's also other supports on campus like campus police, the mental health center, residence life staff, and others. I have a particular medical need, mobility need, or something else that has me worried about my ability to live away from home. There are a lot of individual concerns that may keep someone from looking into inclusive higher education as an option. I highly recommend setting time to meet with the inclusive service staff at the universities to talk about options to live away from home and any other concerns you might have in mind. If you're still running into challenges, please feel free to reach out to IN. We recognize that there are opportunities in Colorado to make college more accessible and wish to continue addressing barriers faced by students with ID. This has been a ton of information, but I'd be remiss if I did not talk about the one other component that comes up a lot, which is cost. For this section, we'll jump right into the FAQs. What are the costs associated with college? Students who access inclusive services pay the same tuition rate as any other student. Because students with ID generally take 3 classes per semester, their credit load is generally smaller than a typical student, meaning their overall tuition bill may be less. Depending on the type of school, whether it is a community college or university, the tuition may range from around $200 per credit hour to $300 per credit hour, with community colleges being on the lower end. In addition, students pay a separate inclusive service fee directly to the school's inclusive service office. As we talked about earlier, IN is not the one providing services. We do not collect any fees or tuition of any kind. All tuition, service fees, room and board, if applicable, are paid directly to the college the student attends. For a more specific breakdown of all costs and financial resources specific to each school, please see the Inclusive Service Office web pages. You can also reach out to their Inclusive Service Office to get connected with someone who can further discuss costs and financial resources. Generally, they should be able to point you towards someone in the financial aid office who can really go in depth about finances as it relates to college. Are there any options to help pay for college? Absolutely. If an inclusive service office is a designated comprehensive transition program, then students with ID will have access to apply for financial aid. As of this recording, UNC, ACC, and UCCS are all CTP designated, meaning all of their students are able to apply for financial aid. Financial aid includes things like work study, where a student works on campus and is paid. It also includes grants, which do not have to be repaid. Students with ID are not eligible for federal loans through financial aid. There are also disability-specific resources like the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, Social Security income, and ABLE accounts. We'll talk more about these resources in Module 5. You can also reach out to the inclusive service offices to talk to them more about costs. They have worked with many families to help navigate this barrier. For all students, cost can be a really tricky thing to navigate when thinking about college, whether or not you have a disability. It can take a lot of creativity to put different resources together to make college an affordable and accessible option. Regardless of where you stand, I encourage you to look into a variety of different resources and talk to lots of different folks about what is out there to really help to navigate this. Hopefully the Q&A we just covered helped clarify many of the questions you might have brought with you. If you have additional questions, you are welcome to reach out to IN at info@inclusivehighered.org. Or if your questions are school specific, I encourage you to reach out directly to the Inclusive Service Office at that school. Links can be found in the video description. For the final section of this module, I'm going to talk more about how students can find the college that is best for them. Since inclusive services themselves are really similar, this section will really hone in on supporting students to understand what the actual colleges offering those services are like. Let's think about what might be going on in your own school or district. First, the value of campus visits and open houses cannot be overstated. These are a great way for students to envision themselves on the campus and to connect with other students. So, is anyone organizing a college visit? Some school districts will offer field trips for students to visit college campuses. Consider asking around in your district to counselors, administrators, and/or other teachers to see if this is something that is offered. If it is, consider requesting that your students be included in these opportunities as well. Sometimes college visits aren't possible. Have no fear. We'll go over some other ideas. Does your school have a counselor who specializes in post-secondary options? They might not know anything about inclusive services, but they could talk to students about what college is like. Is a college admissions counselor scheduled to visit your school? Sometimes there are school visit days where students can go to a college-specific presentation, and sometimes there are college fairs. If you're getting a lot of student questions about what the dorms are like, what dining halls are like, clubs and sports available on campus, directing students towards an admissions counselor could be a good option. While special education teachers may not be trained in college counseling, there are many resources you can pull from to guide you in this area. the National Association for College Admission Counseling has a lot of resources, including lesson plans you can use in your own classroom to start the conversation about college. In addition, Think College and IN both have websites with resources specific to students with ID, but we each also provide technical assistance. We're both here to support you as a teacher to become more empowered in learning about college for students with ID. IN is going to be really specific to Colorado, while Think College is the National Coordinating Center for Inclusive Higher Education. So, what if you've exhausted all those things or you're just looking for some other ideas? Here are some other things that other teachers have done to help their students learn about college. 1. Contacting the admission department of the college campus to set up a special class visit, including a presentation on disability supports in college. 2. Collaborating with IN to host a college student panel for high school students to directly ask their questions to college students with ID. I'm sure there are lots of other creative ideas out there. I think the main takeaway here is to not be afraid of working with students to just explore options. Whether they end up going to college or not, I think the benefit is that you have presented the option and the student can now make a more informed choice about what they would like from their own future. Finally, having a disability is only one part of a student's identity. Colleges may offer specific supports to students from certain backgrounds. When relevant, these can be helpful for families and students to look into when comparing colleges. These might be specific support offices for students who are first-generation college students, identify as a person of color, are a non-native English speaker, identify as LGBTQ+, and others. If you're working with students from lots of different backgrounds, you may consider becoming more familiar with those services in college as well. In conclusion, I hope you enjoyed learning about what college can look like for students with intellectual disabilities in Colorado. I'm going to leave the final recap of this module to 3 of Colorado's first students with ID to graduate from inclusive higher education pathways.
It's Mia. And technically, my major and my minor is actually American Sign Language.
Okay, my name is Nick. So I've been studying for the disability studies and college and career and public speaking, all that stuff. So
I'm Ashley Mabry, Human Service and Self-Advocacy. I am learning how to best serve them, either legally or all around. It's a great course to be enrolled in. It's much of a hard course class, but when you do grasp it and understand it, the work will pay off.
My dream job is actually teach kids how to do sign language. So I want to be a teacher. It's my gift, and I love doing it.
Because I want to work on cars.
There is this company group called The Arc, and their services are specialized to individuals who have special needs. I would love to help them in the way that only someone who has been there and done that can.
Oh yeah, this is a loving student. Yeah.
In the upcoming sessions, we'll be discussing strategies you can use to help your students of all abilities prepare for college, just like these graduates did. You'll learn how to talk with students and parents about the idea of college, as well as skills to work to develop with students of all ages. If you are taking this module for credit, before moving on, please visit the Google form linked in the video description for a reflection activity. Then we'll see you in our next section, preparing all students for college.